that is blocking the view of the pedestrian crossing for motorists.
So your main concern, Richard, and the reason you started a campaign against these Euro panels is based solely on safety, and you reckon there's an accident waiting to happen out there because of them. Is that what you're saying?
I would go stronger than that. I would say there is a fatality waiting to happen.
All right. Hopefully that won't happen. But stay with me. 1850 715 815. Councillor Daithí Doolan, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm very good. Now,
Good.
you're chairman of the Planning Committee in Dublin City Council.
Yes, the Economic Development, Planning and International Affairs Policy Committee, to give it its full title.
All right, okay. But you've given the blessing for these Euro panels to pop up around the city.
Well, I think, first of all, just to put into context, nothing popping up around the city. They face the full rigours of any planning process. And I think there's nothing popping up or being imposed anywhere. And again, just to pull it back slightly, the level of consultation this has been quite intense. The project has been around for over 12 months. It has been brought before my own committee, that's a cross-party committee. It's made up of all political parties and sectoral interests. It has also been brought in front of the Transport SPC. It's also been brought in front of each of the 5 area committees made up of councillors in the area, as well as 2 full city councils.
So it's gone through a rigorous planning process.
Yes, and
you're saying there's nothing wrong, nothing dangerous about them.
Well, of course, if there's any individual cases, people feel free to contact me. My number's with your researcher. Feel free to contact any councillor, and we will do our best to ensure that any adjustments will be made. I mean, 20 of them have been refused already, so there's nothing being imposed on the city.
All right, I'll come to the bikes. Can I come to the bikes at the moment? I just want Richard to come back in on that point, because Richard, now it's gone through a rigorous planning process.
The truth is that Daithí himself would have voted for an emergency motion calling for an immediate halt to this work. Until a full health and safety review had been conducted independently. Now that was this month's council meeting. Now I would challenge anybody to go down to Camden Street and to see signs erected next to a pedestrian crossing, and to say that that's safe. Now the crazy thing is we've had a planning process. Now, surely, as part of that, a safety review should have been done before the signs were put up.
All right, we put that point to Daithí.
So basically what's happening is the signs are going up, and then we're seeing, are they dangerous at the point at which they're up? That's ridiculous.
Is that the case, Daithí?
Well, each site was taken individually, so exactly as Richard outlined, the process could take place, that each site would be reviewed in its entirety and independently of the process. So rather than dealing with a health and safety check for them for all of them together as one lump, it was dealt with in detail at each site. And in fact, just to clarify, on Monday night there was no vote taken on that motion. Just to be very clear, there's no vote. It was adopted without debate or vote. So let's be clear on the technicalities there.
Yes,
and I actually support
but that was a unanimous motion, Daithí, and you're and your city manager turned around and said that he will not do that.
Sorry, if I could maybe clarify. If I'm allowed in here for a moment, I didn't interrupt you, Richard, with all due respect, and I presume you're in attendance at the meeting on Monday night, and you would have seen that there was no debate or vote taken. But I support and uphold the full rigours of the law around this, and I don't want to see any imposition of advertising. In fact, to the contrary, there's when it comes to other advertising, such as bus shelters, no planning laws apply. Nothing applies. We're dealing with a situation in Clonbrassil Street where a bus shelter is totally blocking traffic, and the City Council have no power over it. At least with these, because they're brought into the democratic process, we do and can have an impact.
Okay.
Have had an impact.
Have you seen the one on the Lower Rathmines Road?
I have not seen. I have not seen any information or been contacted on it. So rather than me speculating, if somebody wants to bring me out there, I will make myself available.
I'll do that, Daithí. I'll bring you out on the streets and I'll show you the ones that are blocking traffic lights. I'm quite happy to do that.
But a number of them have been withdrawn and modified so as to meet the demands of the public, and quite rightly. But if I can maybe also put into context, the bike stations we put into place in September, and yes, there was 500 bikes was the figure, but obviously with the less advertising that's been brought in, we're now getting 450 bikes, and they will be brought into place early next year. We'll also be getting €4 million for a proper wayfinding and sign system for the city of Dublin.
Where are you getting the €4 million?
For the wayfinding system being brought into the city, for new signage for the city centre of Dublin, for Dublin City Council, and the bikes will be.
But who's paying for that?
So it will be JC Deco. They will pay for the bikes.
Deco.
I just want to be very clear about this. They will pay for the bikes, the upkeep, the modification, the expansion of the service, They will pay for the wayfinding system, the modification, upkeep and expansion of it where necessary, plus the fact that the bikes, they'll be rented for a nominal fee so as to promote environmentally friendly transport within the city. And they do operate very well in other cities.
Okay, so was it a quid pro quo? Is this a sweetener from them to try and get the permission off you?
What it was is that at the moment, all the advertising we see in the city, which is right across the city, Dublin City Council get absolutely no revenue from that. Nothing.
So where does the money go to?
Into the pockets of the people promoting the advertising.
So it's
private companies.
Well, they pay for it. I mean, if I want to advertise
the city upon which they, I mean, you look at any of the gable ends of walls, the big advertising, the advertising bus shelters, the city get nothing for any of that. Yet it's within our city.
Yes.
And what we attempted to do here was be imaginative in our approach to try and get resources into the city. So we felt what we would do is we looked at models across Europe and identified this is a model of best practice that we could modify and bring into Dublin so to control the advertising industry, to ensure it faces the full rigours of planning and to get resources for the city. And of course, I mean, any of this, there's going to be bumps in the road, and we will need
right.
to intervene.
Well, just to be clear with this, JC Decaux, the company which has developed this
won the contract.
or owned. Oh, they won the contract. They didn't come to you. You tendered for these.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And this was done. And also there was my understanding is that
when they threw in the bikes, was that what clinched it?
No. Nothing was thrown in or popped up. I mean, let's be very clear. This is a fully legal, binding process.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not questioning that at all.
Central government and EU regulations.
Where did the idea come from to provide bikes?
I mean, the management of the city saw this operating in other cities in Europe and realised we could attempt to manage the plethora of advertising that's going up in the city and also try and get resources for the city. And for me, at least, one of the key things is that we're actually managing advertising in the city for the first time. We're also getting resources, particularly bicycles, at a nominal rate, up to 500 bicycles for use within the city that can be taken from one part of the city and parked in 38 different stations.
And the rental goes to the city?
Yes.
It's not a private company.
And any upkeep.
There's a problem here.